Pick up with number 60, which talks about the discriminant. Now the discriminant is just b squared minus 4ac. That's all it is. It's the part that if you're doing the quadratic formula, the discriminant is underneath the radical. If you do the discriminant, if you find the discriminant, not do the if you find the discriminant and you get a positive number, that tells me that there are going to be two real solutions. If you find the discriminant and it results in 0, you will only have one real solution. And if you find the discriminant and you get a negative number, there will be no real solutions. Because when I'm doing the quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. This number here, if it's a positive, I would have plus the square root of some number and minus the square root of some number, which is why I would get two real solutions. But if this is 0, I'd have some negative b plus 0 and a negative b minus 0, which is the same thing. So I'd only have one real solution. And if it's a negative, I wouldn't have any real solutions because I'd have negative b plus the square root of a negative number, which doesn't exist as a real number. So that's where these positives, 2 and 1 and none, come into play. So in number 60, if I've got negative 5x squared minus 4x plus 1 is equal to 0. You want to make sure it's equal to 0 before you do it. So a is negative 5, and b is negative 4, and c is 1. Notice they don't tell me to solve it. They just say use the discriminant to determine the number of real solutions for the equation. So I'm going to do b squared minus 4ac. So b squared minus 4 times a times c. b squared is 16. This will be minus a negative 20, or 16 plus 20. I would get 36, which is a positive number. So there are two real solutions. Number 65. 65, I've got 0.2x squared plus 1.2x minus 8 is equal to 0. So b squared minus 4ac, I've got 1.2 squared minus 4 times a times c. All right, take the calculator, and I'm going to do 1.2 squared minus 4 times a, which is 0.2, 4 times 0.2 times negative 8. And I get 7.84, which is also a positive number. So this one would also have two real solutions. All right, when we get to 70, it says to use the quadratic formula to solve the equation. So our quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So problem 70 is 25x squared minus 20x plus 3 is equal to 0. Make sure it's equal to 0 before you start this process. So a is 25, b is negative 20, and c is 3. So x equals negative b. That would make this negative 20 a positive 20. Plus or minus the square root of negative 20 squared minus 4 times 25 times 3 over 2 times 25, 2a. All right, so that's equals 20 plus or minus the square root of. If I do this, it'd be 400. Negative 20 squared is 400 minus 4 times 25 times 3 will be 300. And then on the bottom, 2 times 25 is 50. So I get 20 plus or minus, that's the square root of 100, which is 10 over 50. 20 plus 10 is 30 over 50, or 3/5 if I reduce it. And 20 minus 10 would be 10 over 50, or 1/5. So 3/5 and 1/5. Those are my answers for number 70. 75. X squared plus 8x minus 4 is equal to 0. So x is equal to negative b, so negative 8 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, which is negative 8 plus or minus the square root of. This would be 64 plus 16. That would be 80 underneath there, and a 2. If you break 80 down, I could make it 4 times 20. And 4 is 2 times 2, and 20 is 2 times 10, and 10 is 2 times 5. So I'm in it with 2 2's. So negative 8 plus or minus, and then 2. I'm going to keep all that same. So 2 2's on the outside, so that'd be 4, and then a 5 underneath. 4 square root of 5. So I'm going to divide negative 8 by 2, which is negative 4, and I'm going to do 4 square root of 5 divided by 2, so that'd be 2 square root of 5. And that would be my answer for 75. I'm going to stop here. The rest of them are very similar to these, and if you have any specific questions, let me know, but the rest of them you can do using quadratic formula. So let me know if you have any trouble, and we will proceed from here.